Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Inman, back to read Full of Beans. If you notice, I have on my winter hat because it snowed yesterday. Can you believe it? I had snow all over my flowers. So, I know it's April, but sometimes we have crazy weather. So let's find out about Beans' crazy life in Hip Hip Hooray. The fire was all anybody could talk about the next day at school. Even the teachers were gossiping about it. Such a tragedy, Miss Sugarapple murmured to another teacher in the hallway. But Porkchop wasn't there to hear it. He was absent. Mosquito started the fire, Ira announced at lunchtime. A bunch of kids had gathered around listening. What? I asked. My pa talked to Mr. Sandano. Mrs. Sandano was burning a bunch of rags and kerosene to clear out the mosquitoes. I remembered how thick they were last night. Guess she wasn't paying attention and the smudged pot tipped over. Next thing they knew, the kitchen was on fire. Ash Street had almost been taken out because of mosquitoes. Unbelievable. I went by the Saldano's place after school. The smell of smoke still lingered in the air. The firemen had managed to keep the fire from spreading to the other houses around the Saldano's. But Porkchop's place was a different story. No one would be coming to buy Bolita tickets anytime soon. The porch was badly burned, and the house's windows had shattered. There was glass everywhere. The smell was the worst. It stuck in your nose, a horrible combination of damp and smoke, worse than any garbage pile I'd ever climbed through. Porkchop sat across from the house, staring at it. He looked devastated. You okay, Palsy? I asked him. The phone melted, he said. A hollow look was in his eyes. It did? He nodded. After that day, I didn't ask if he was okay again. I already knew the answer. Porkchop and his family moved into his granny's house on Havana Street. They didn't have enough dough to fix up their own place. My mistress challenged us again, Ira told us as we sat around Porkchop's granny's kitchen picking at our food. Mrs. Saldano's food didn't taste quite the same for some reason. Maybe because she wasn't happy making them there under the watchful eye of her mother-in-law. Porkchop's granny was old, and she sat on a stool in the corner, and she just stared at everybody. This place was nothing like Mrs. Saldano's kitchen. It was very quiet. No people coming and going. I missed the ringing phone most of all. Who cares, Porkchop said, tugging at the collar of his shirt. The shirt had been mended so many times it was almost see-through. It was the only shirt he wore these days. In school, they had taken up a collection of donated clothes for him and his family, but Porkchop refused to wear any of them. Swore he'd rather go naked than wear some other kid's rags. And he was gloomy now. He didn't have his usual snappy comebacks. I tried to cheer the things up. Come on, Palsy, let's play, I said, forcing myself to grin. It'll be a hoot to take all their marbles. His lips thinned. Fine. But it wasn't a hoot because we played badly. Porkchop didn't have his usual edge, and I overshot. Even Ira dragged his knuckles. We lost twice. The Heapsies were no longer the top of the marble game. I knew it was all because of me. The sword fell the next day at supper. My mother turned to me and said, Beans, you need to go down to station number 3. I closed my eyes. Looked like my execution would be at the firehouse. It was time to face the music. As I followed my mother down the lane, I felt like a criminal. Like jelly, I wondered, did they lock kids in jail? Would they let me out to come home for supper? There was a small crowd gathered outside the fire station number 3 when we arrived, including Mr. and Mrs. Saldano, Porkchop, Ira, Too Bad, and even Winky. My humiliation was complete. Inside the firehouse, the firemen were all standing around looking grave. I could barely meet Sim's eyes. Beans, he said, stepping forward. Thank you for coming. My head snapped up. What was going on? Why was he thanking me instead of clapping irons around my arms? You are a shining example of bravery and integrity. My mouth dropped open. If you had not come back and fetched us, many more houses would have been lost, he paused. You are a true hero in our community. Then he held out a key that hung from a ribbon. "This," he said, "is an honorary fire alarm key. May you ever be vigilant." I couldn't believe it. He had just given me a key to the fire alarms. All I could think about was Johnny Cakes and how he would be thrilled. He turned and shouted to the crowd, "Let's give Beans a hip hip hooray." Everyone shouted, "Hip hip hooray" for Beans. Then people were congratulating me and slapping me on the back. The radio was turned up loud. Cuban music started playing, and someone brought out some snacks. It was an impromptu celebration, and I was the guest of honor. One by one, people came up to compliment me. Winky pushed his way through the crowd and slapped me on the back. "I hear that my favorite worker saved the day," he said. "How's it feel to be a hero?" Excuse me," I said, and I fought my way outside. I walked out behind the firehouse, and I threw up. Oh, goodness. Why would you think he would do that? Why would he throw up? Do you think maybe he's feeling a little bit guilty? He knows he shouldn't be doing the things he's been doing. He's finally catching up to him. Let's find out what's going to be happening next in chapter 20, Hero. I'll read that to you next time. But for now, I'll see you later, guys. Bye. Hi, everybody. Surprise, I'm back. You know, this morning it was sort of cold after that snow, and that's why I had my fur hat on. But guess what? This afternoon, it's all beautiful and sunny. So, put on the shades, took off that old hat, of course, and I'm going to read to you one more chapter. It's called Hero, chapter 20. All of Key West thought I was a hero. Everywhere I went, people sang my praises. Even Miss Sugarapple was impressed. She let me lead the Pledge of Allegiance for the class and gave me a thick slice of icebox cake from her own lunch. That was just the beginning of free treats. Mrs. Albury dropped off tins of divinity. At Pepe's Cafe, they gave me all the Cuban ham sandwiches I could eat, and I got free ice cream for me and the whole gang at El-Anon. Me and the gang were sitting on one of the new benches at Duval Street, having some of that cold treat. "You need to be a hero more often, Beans," Iris said, taking a lick. But my coconut ice cream tasted like sawdust in my mouth. A bunch of kids walked by and I heard them talking about me, but this time they weren't talking about my marble skills. "That's Beans Curry." One little kid broke away from the pack. He ran it to me. He could have been more than 5. "Can I shake your hand?" the kid asked shyly. "Why?" I asked. "It's my daddy says you're a real life hero. He says I need to be just like you when I grow up." But the worst part of it was how my mother reacted. She couldn't stop beaming. "I'm just so proud of you, Beans," she would say at odd moments. If only she knew. Then the nightmare started. In my dreams, the air was full of smoke and the sound of a fire bell ringing. I found myself waking up during the night and running downstairs to smell the night air. I was so tired that I walked around in a daze. My stomach hurt. The guilt was eating away at me. I didn't know what to do, and I found myself walking to the most unlikely place, Nana Philly's house. My cousin, Miss B, a cheery older lady with silver hair, greeted me at the door. "Why, Beans, it's so nice to see you," she exclaimed. Miss B had moved in and was taking care of Nana Philly. She must have been part angel to take care of that cranky old lady. "How's she doing?" I asked. "Oh, she has her good days and her bad days, but she'll be excited to see you. She just loves her grandchildren." Nana Philly was sitting up in her tufted chair in the parlor. She looked like she lost weight. She was wearing a nightgown and had a blanket tucked around her, and she was staring straight ahead at nothing. "Beans," Miss B said, "I have to run down to the market. Can you sit with her for a little bit?" "Sure," I said. The door slammed and Miss B was gone, leaving me and Nana Philly all by ourselves. "How are you feeling, Nana Philly?" I asked her. She didn't say anything. Not that I expected her to. The doctor said she'd probably never be able to talk again. I wished more than anything that she would just yell at me, that someone would yell at me and tell me what a bad kid I was. We sat there in silence. My gaze drifted to a little table with pictures. There was a photo of Ma as a young woman. She was beautiful with light in her eyes, like she wanted to take on the world. What would happen to that life if she found out that I've been making trouble? What if she found out the truth? What if I fessed up to my part in the fire? Would she still be proud of me? Or would it make things even worse? Would people shun me? Shun my whole family? Would my family have to hide away like a leper? My head spun. I did something so bad, I blurted out. Nana Philly didn't blink. Once I started, I couldn't seem to stop talking. Words just spilled out my mouth. It was really bad, and I didn't mean for it to happen. I was trying to help everyone. I swallowed. Now I don't know what to do. I don't know if it would be worse if I told the truth or not. Then I covered my face with my hands. I was ashamed. What should I do? Should I tell the truth? I pleaded. She blinked. Does that blink mean yes or no? She blinked again. This was frustrating. Blink once for yes and 2 for no, I said. She stared at me for a long moment and she blinked twice. What did I expect? She's the meanest woman in Key West, but she's also my grandmother. I knew she loved me, just a little. I have one more question, I told her. I swear, she rolled her eyes. Did you try to kill Kermit with that potion for his throat? And she blinked once. That night, I went to the late show at the movie theater. A comedy called The Old-Fashioned Way was playing. It starred Baby Leroy and W.C. Fields. The baby even got top billing. I sat in the balcony half hoping that the leper man would be there. Maybe I could ask his opinion on things. Because despite my visit with Nana Philly, I didn't feel any better. If anything, I felt worse. But then someone else slipped into the seat next to me. Dot. I hear you're a hero now, she said. And I didn't answer her. Then the picture started rolling. On the screen, W.C. Fields and Baby Leroy were yucking it up. I should have been excited. This was my kind of picture. But all I felt was sick inside. Next to me, Dot burst out laughing. But I couldn't laugh. I didn't deserve to be happy. I didn't deserve anything. Because I wasn't a hero. I was worse than any of the worst grown-ups. I was the lyingest liar in the whole world. Something burst inside me, and silent tears started rolling down my cheeks. I just love that baby, don't you? Dot whispered to me, not looking away from the screen. I couldn't answer her. I was too busy crying. He's so funny. Isn't he a hoot? Don't you? And then her voice trailed off as she looked at me. Her eyes widened. Beans? Are you okay? I hated her more at that moment than any other. I wish she would just go away and let me cry in peace in that dark theater. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't breathe. I wished I could just disappear. Then Dot's hand slipped into mine and squeezed. I held on tight until the last credit rolled. So, he's feeling pretty guilty, isn't he? And maybe he's made a new friend out of Dot. Our next chapter, 21, Doomed. Do you think he'll tell? See you later.